All right, I have been doing some things. They're just not big, exciting things. I finally got my 10-inch center lines mounted with 295 50-15s, and I got the look here I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. I probably round the wheel wells out a little bit, and then I could do the rust repair about them, round them, but there's no point in doing the rust repair when you don't know what size you're gonna come out. So I got this thing sitting just like I wanted to sit. And after I get the two Fords done, I'll probably be on this, putting the floorboards in and the cross members in. Because it runs, we've had it running. 383 4-barrel, but this is exactly the look I was going for. Haven't actually done anything to this one. Waiting on the heads. The heads have been in. I think this is the 5th week they're into the machine shop. There just aren't machine shops around anymore. You find a good one, you gotta wait. You can't. You try to rush them like, hey, just come get your heads. Yeah, you're done. So, and of course they found more problems with them than I expected. So, I've been setting the valves on the big one, getting ready to put it in here. I did do.
Hang on.
And I found something out on this. I thought it was probably a solid roller motor because it clacked, but I think it's actually hydraulic roller, because when I got the other valve cover off, and I had one that was pretty loose, and the other ones, when they were not compressed, were springy like a hydraulic. So I adjusted the one just past 0 lash, and we'll see how that works. And I bought these expensive Felpro performance gaskets to put these new valve covers on. They're very thick. And these bolts don't even stick out. They came with these new valve covers, don't even stick out far enough to go through the gasket. So I'm gonna have to see if I get longer bolts. And these valve covers, if you guys have seen before, were a necessity because they had factory valve covers on that the rockers rubbed holes in, causing major oil leak. So yeah, these weren't just cool guy for fun stuff. These are have to. So I'm gonna see if I can get longer bolts. Yeah, see, like here I got a real loose one. But most of them, they've got springiness to them, like a hydraulic. So I'm just going around and taking the ones that are loose to 0 lash, because I really don't know much about what's inside this motor. It's a mystery motor, but it's big and it's fast and it runs very, very well.
I'll tell them what new stuff.
Oh yeah, well, let's show them the Ford first. Took the upper control arms in because the bushings are completely gone. Any of you older guys remember putting upper control arm bushings in all the time. Rebuilt the control arms, cleaned them up, put new bushings and new upper ball joints. Pardon me. New upper ball joints in, so that's in good shape. And we're hoping that the weight of that motor with aluminum heads and intake and headers is about the same as a cast iron 289. That's what the internet tells me, and the internet never lies, so it's probably true. But yeah, in the shop I've been putting up lights. I have 4 of those up. I have 1 more to go here. That'll give me 5, and I'm going to put another row of 5 down the other side, equally spaced. That'll be on one switch. I'll put a row of 5 over there on a switch, and a row of 5 over here on a switch. So those are tedious. A lot of work. We have been making progress, but not as much progress as we had wanted. Nothing very exciting. Mainly parts problems and waiting on parts and waiting on the heads. I'd hoped to have at least one of these Fords running by now, but hopefully in a week or so I can at least have this one ready. Hey everybody, Mark here at the farm and the shop. Got some parts in. I've been waiting on a lot of parts for the big motor that's going to go in the 65. stock oil pan here. It's gonna get cleaned up and painted because this had a rear sump when it was in the 56. And we had this oil pump. So I bought a factory pickup because the pickup ran to the rear. And this pickup, didn't fit. I got to looking and realized the factory style has like a 45-degree angle and does this. So the guys at Summit, shout out to Summit, were real helpful in getting me the right stuff. I'll take this pump off and I'll keep it with the other stuff because I got another 429 that I have no idea what it'll ever go into. May need it. Take this pump off, put this pump on, measure my drop, make sure everything's good. And I can put that oil pan on, so it'll be more like a factory setup to go in the Ford because it's set up for a front sump. And of course for the 289, I will have to get a rear sump set up. Still waiting on getting the heads back though, so they're in the shop. But that's gonna be the next project, is to get the oil pump on this, the paint cleaned up and on. We'll probably paint it Ford blue because this paint matches that car, but it's not gonna be in that car anymore. So we're going Ford blue. Hook a C6 back, or C4, sorry, the C4 back up to it. And I was confused because the paperwork I got with this said it had a C4 transmission. And I did some checking. They said, well, C4 doesn't fit a 385 series, which is 429, 460. I didn't realize, I'm not much of a Ford guy, the Ford bell housing bolts on the automatic. General Motors, they don't bolt on. Well, we got a completely aftermarket setup there for the bell housing. So we have a bell housing that puts a C4 to a 385 series engine. So that's going right back on. I'm not going to separate them. They work together. I know they work together. This is the stock bell housing that will get cleaned up and go on the 289. Now when I dropped the pan on the 289, I had a couple needle bearings in the pan. So I've got to go through that one. So I will be putting a kit in this one. So it's going to take me a little while, but I should be able to get this in that. And today I ordered centerline lug nuts so I can put some bigger tires in those wheel wells because pretty sure that thing is just going to melt those little skinny ones we put on it. We will be putting that oil pump in that motor, measuring the depth of the pan, and should be getting about ready to put that thing in there. All right, well, Teresa just asked a really interesting question about the 65 Galley. She says, are we gonna have to put new springs in it? Because we're taking out a 289 and putting in this 588, which is a 429, 460 engine. And I've already looked on the internet and guys claim that an all cast iron 289, which is what we had, is about the same weight as a 460 or 429 with aluminum heads because, you know, from here up, it's aluminum, and of course we're going to go with headers instead of cast iron manifolds. So hopefully it's going to come out decent height. So that's about where we are right now. Still working and having fun, just not making the progress I'd like to make. But anybody who's into hot rodding can relate to that.
And everybody's still watching, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. If you're close, let me know and we'll do some barbecue. Here's what we do when we're not working on cars. A lot of grilling and smoking. This one's a new one for me. I've seen a bunch of videos. It's party ribs, where you take your ribs and you cut them, season them all four sides. And it only takes 2.5 hours to get them done. So doing party ribs tonight.
Bear with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.